Title: The Rage of a Dying Sun. Description: in a galaxy where human rage is a myth, a diplomat must prove that our greatest weakness is also our greatest weapon. Hashtag HFY, hashtag sci-fi, hashtag philosophical. The diplomat's fingers traced the rim of his glass, the condensation cool against his skin. Around him, the neutral station hummed with the quiet tension of 1,000 unspoken truths. Beings of crystalline structure, amorphous energy clouds, and insectoid chitin mingled in the vast arboretum, their bioluminescent lights casting shifting shadows on the ancient trees. Kaelen Vance, human ambassador to the Galactic Concordance, had spent 3 cycles learning their languages, their customs, their unspoken rules. He was a student of diplomacy, a student of peace. But the Concordance had called him here for a reason. The fungal networks, the Mycelium Collective, had been expanding aggressively, consuming entire star systems in their relentless, silent conquest. Other species saw them as mindless, ravenous things. Kaelen knew better. He had studied their transmissions, their spore-based communication, their cold, logical calculus of growth. They were not mindless. They were efficient. And they were winning. The Mycelium ambassador, or what passed for one, did not walk. It drifted, a cloud of iridescent spores held together by a faint, shimmering energy field. Its voice, when it spoke, was not sound but a vibration that resonated directly in the mind of the listener. We are the solution, it broadcast, its thoughts a calm, unemotional tide. Asterisk: organic systems fail. Carbon-based life decays. We offer permanence. Integration. You will cease to be individuals. You will become part of the whole. Asterisk: Kaelen stood his ground, his own mind a fortress against the invasive thoughts. He had faced worse than telepathic pressure in his time. He had faced the silence of deep space, the crushing weight of a dying star, the cold emptiness of a world where no life could ever take hold. We are not a problem to be solved, he replied, his voice steady. We are a people to be understood. The spore cloud pulsed, a flicker of something akin to irritation. Asterisk: understanding is inefficient. We have analyzed your species. Your rage is your greatest liability. Your passion, your anger, it clouds your logic. It makes you predictable. Asterisk: Kaelen allowed himself a small, humorless smile. You have no idea what you're talking about, he said softly. The summit hall was a cathedral of light and shadow, its ceiling a vast holographic display of the galaxy, swirling with the colors of 1,000 civilizations. Kaelen stood at the podium, his hands resting on the cool, metallic surface. Before him sat the representatives of the Concordance, their faces a mask of polite disinterest. The Mycelium Collective had just presented its latest proposal, the voluntary integration of all lesser species into the fungal network. A form of peace, they called it. A form of unity. Kaelen knew it was a death sentence. The Mycelium speak of permanence, he began, his voice carrying through the hall. They speak of efficiency. They speak of the end of suffering. But they do not speak of the cost. He paused, letting the weight of his words settle. They ask us to surrender our individuality, our memories, our very selves. They ask us to become nothing more than extensions of their will. Is that peace? Or is it annihilation? A low murmur rippled through the audience. The crystalline beings shifted their facets, reflecting the light in patterns of concern. The energy clouds pulsed with faint light, their emotions unreadable. Kaelen pressed on. We humans have faced extinction before. We have stared into the abyss and chosen to fight back. Not because we were logical, not because we were efficient, because we were angry, because we refused to be erased. The Mycelium ambassador's spore cloud darkened, a storm gathering within its shimmering form. Your anger is a primitive response, it broadcast, the thought sharp with disdain. Asterisk: it is a chemical imbalance, a relic of your violent past. We have evolved beyond such base emotions. You cling to them like a child to a security blanket. Asterisk: Kaelen met the cloud's gaze, unflinching. You see anger as weakness, he said, his voice low and even. We see it as strength. It is the fire that forges us, the force that drives us to build, to create, to destroy. It is the reason we are here, talking to you now, instead of lying silent and forgotten in the dust of some dead world. The spore cloud pulsed, a flicker of something new in its energy field. Curiosity. Explain, it demanded. Explain this rage that you value so highly. Kaelen took a slow breath, the memory of 1,000 battles, 1,000 losses, flooding his mind. Imagine a star, he began, his voice taking on a new intensity. A star that has burned for eons, giving light and warmth to everything around it. Now imagine that star begins to die. Its light dims, its heat fades. The planets that depended on it grow cold, lifeless. What does that star do? Does it accept its fate with quiet dignity? Or does it rage against the dying of the light? It explodes. It goes supernova. It releases a fury so immense it can be seen across the galaxy. That is our rage. It is the fury of a dying star, and it can burn even you to ash. The hall fell silent. The holographic display above them flickered, showing the image of a dying star, a red giant collapsing in on itself, its outer layers thrown off in a spectacular explosion of light and energy. The Mycelium Ambassador's spore cloud was still, its energy field dimmed. Supernovae are chaotic, it broadcast, the thought tinged with something new. Uncertainty. Asterisk, they destroy everything in their path. They are inefficient. They are wasteful. Asterisk, Kaelen allowed himself a thin smile. Destruction is not always about efficiency, he said. Sometimes it is about survival. Sometimes it is about making a point. The mycelium have consumed system after system, expanding without regard for the cost. They have become complacent. They believe their logic is absolute. But they have never faced true rage. They have never faced a species that would rather die than be absorbed. He looked out at the assembled delegates, his gaze steady. We are that species. We are the supernova in the dark, and we will not be silenced. The Mycelium Ambassador did not respond immediately. Its spore cloud drifted slowly, almost contemplatively, across the floor of the hall. The silence stretched, thick and heavy, broken only by the hum of the station and the faint crackle of the holographic display. Then, the spore cloud pulsed, a soft, rhythmic beat. We have analyzed your words. It broadcast, the thought calm once more, but different now. Less certain. Asterisk, we have re-evaluated your species. We find potential, but potential requires guidance. Control. Asterisk, Kaelen's hand tightened on the podium. Control is not what we offer, he said. We offer choice. We offer the right to exist as we are, to feel as we feel, to rage as we must. The spore cloud drifted closer, its energy field brushing against the podium, sending a faint vibration through Kaelen's hands. Your rage is a liability, it insisted, the thought sharp once more. It will be your downfall. Maybe, Kaelen replied, meeting the cloud's gaze. But it will be a glorious downfall, and we will take you with us. The summit hall erupted. Delegates rose from their seats, their voices a cacophony of alarm and anger. The crystalline beings clattered against the floor, their facets flashing with light. The energy clouds pulsed wildly, their forms shifting and distorting. The Mycelium Ambassador's spore cloud flared, its energy field brightening with intensity. You threaten us, it broadcast, the thought laced with cold fury. Asterisk, you primitive, violent creature. You will be silenced. Asterisk, Kaelen did not flinch. He had faced down warlords and star fleets, the cold void of space and the heat of a dying sun. This was nothing. I threaten no one, he said, his voice rising above the din. I speak the truth. The Mycelium have come to this summit not to negotiate, but to conquer. They offer peace, but it is the peace of the grave. They offer unity, but it is the unity of the hive. We will not accept it. We will fight. We will rage. We will burn your spores to ash before we let you consume us. The hall fell silent again, all eyes on the human ambassador and the spore cloud that faced him. The tension was palpable, a physical weight in the air. The Mycelium Ambassador did not move. It did not speak. It simply watched, its energy field pulsing with an unreadable rhythm. Kaelen knew the moment had come. The Mycelium Ambassador had made its decision. The spore cloud began to expand, its tendrils of energy reaching out, not toward Kaelen, but toward the hall's central holographic display. The galaxy above them flickered, then changed. Instead of the swirling colors of star systems, it showed a vision of horror. Entire worlds consumed by fungal growth, their cities buried beneath layers of mycelium, their populations reduced to mindless drones, their consciousness absorbed into the network. The delegates gasped, their faces a mask of terror. The Mycelium ambassador's voice resonated through the hall, cold and absolute. This is your future. This is what awaits you if you resist. Integration is inevitable. Resistance is futile. Kaelen stared at the vision, his heart pounding, but his mind was clear. He saw not just horror, but opportunity. He saw the flaw in the Mycelium's logic. They believed their own propaganda. They believed their own superiority. They had never faced true rage. They had never faced a species that would rather destroy itself than be controlled. Kaelen stepped away from the podium, his movements deliberate, calm. He walked toward the holographic display, his gaze fixed on the vision of the consumed worlds. The Mycelium ambassador's spore cloud followed him, its tendrils of energy probing, testing, searching for a weakness. Kaelen knew it was there. The Mycelium were logical, efficient, but they were not creative. They could not improvise. They could not adapt in the way humans could. They had never faced a problem they could not solve with cold, hard logic. Until now. Kaelen stopped before the display, his face reflected in the image of the fungal-covered worlds. He closed his eyes, not in fear, but in concentration. He reached out, not with his hands, but with his mind. He focused on the rage he had spoken of, the fury of a dying star, the fire that forged his people. He poured it into the holographic display, not as an attack, but as a catalyst. He showed the Mycelium what they could not comprehend, the beauty of chaos, the power of emotion, the strength of imperfection. The holographic display flickered, then exploded, not with violence, but with light. 1,000 images flashed across the ceiling. Human artists painting with light, human scientists solving impossible equations, human warriors fighting with a ferocity that defied logic, human lovers embracing with a passion that transcended time. The Mycelium ambassador's spore cloud recoiled, its energy field flaring wildly. Impossible, it broadcast, the thought laced with something new. Fear. This is not logical. This is not efficient. This is chaos. Kaelen opened his eyes, a slow smile spreading across his face. Chaos is not the enemy, he said, his voice filled with a quiet power. It is the crucible in which we are forged. It is the fire that makes us strong. It is the rage that makes us human. The spore cloud drifted back, its tendrils of energy retracting, its energy field dimming. The hall was silent, the delegates watching in awe as the human ambassador stood before them, not as a diplomat, but as a force of nature. The Mycelium ambassador had come to consume them. Instead, it had learned something new. It had learned that some things cannot be controlled. Some things cannot be integrated. Some things must be allowed to rage. And in that rage, there was power. Power that even the most logical of minds could not comprehend. Power that would echo across the galaxy for eons to come.